I mean, I think I've manuscripted an entire policy from scratch with, well, it was a London market, but I have had to do that before. And you know, I don't think you see it as much in the casualty side, but especially in the professional lines where you'll have so many different varying aspects, especially now with the emergence of AI and other technology as it continues to expand. You know, you'll see those needs where a standard carrier won't do it.
How are you seeing
Whew.
technology?
Technology. It's making a big wave for sure. And honestly, I think that really at the end of the day, what it's going to come down to is who's going to buy in and who's not. And I think that's going to play a huge role, especially in the coming years, at least from my personal perspective, which is one of the reasons. Like I'm really glad with Burns Wilcox. You know, they are investing in tech right at this moment. You know, continuing to utilize the newer technology is coming out, the AI, at least I believe, I'm not privy quite to that knowledge yet, but I'm hoping that there will be some incorporation of that. But I mean, a great example of myself is like I have, you know, an AI app downloaded on my phone, and sometimes that can be extremely helpful to be able to go, you know, I can't think about where I could maybe go for this, and honestly, it can search through things so much faster than we can as people, as humans. You know, we only move so fast, even those of us that maybe move faster than others. That having kind of that support and having something that can search through hundreds of websites in a matter of seconds or less, I think that that'll be a game changer. And you're seeing it now in every line, not just CNS, but even in the standard markets where you're seeing these AI driven or tech. They're called insurtechs, where you can do everything online, and they will literally, you know, you just click a few boxes, you answer a few questions, and boom, it'll be like, hey, we can get you a quote from this carrier for this premium. Here's the quote.
We have some carriers that are fully AI and I don't need them as a customer. I was like, okay. At
I've
some
heard
point,
that many times about faxes. Yeah.
if my customer can't wait till I mail it to them, then they don't need to be my customer. So like, so it goes by faster. And I was
Yeah.
about it. Like they,
Maybe even now still.
yeah, seriously, laptops are using, yeah.
Yeah.
So like it does like things speed up.
Who
Similar
controls it?
privacy
There's
statements,
yeah,
just
there's
like
so many, yeah.
there's thousands of them.
I mean, me personally, I have not. I mean, I don't. I did work like more of the professional lines, which is where you're going to find the tech the tech E&O, and you'll find cyber coverage and things like that, which is obviously a very key coverage nowadays. Especially, I mean, obviously, I don't know exactly what the circumstances were, but at least yesterday, I know the AWS thing, everything went down. There was a huge
Yeah,
issue. I mean, and I
that because that in fact that
so many, so
all
many
over the
things.
place. Like it's crazy. Like
That all
that's
went down and
that
just done.
Hundreds of billions
Yeah.
in loss
Well, and
from what,
it's
12
tough, and
hours?
you got to think. I mean, the one thing that is true no matter what is that no matter how protected you make something, no matter how much defense you put up, someone's going to find a way through it at some point or another. Whether that's today, tomorrow, a year from now, whatever it winds up being, and we see that. And I mean, I helped manage a cyber book in my prior brokerage, and that's one of the things. I mean, one of the biggest claims I saw was somebody who they worked through a third party to get access into the system from someone who didn't have, it was a completely separate company, but just was connected to this larger organization. And they didn't have the security in place, and they were able to get in right through that way. And from the AI standpoint, you talk about the private information and things like that. I don't know exactly what that looks like, at least on my perspective, but you're absolutely right. Where you're putting in information, and who controls that? Where can they use it? Do they have the ability to sell that information? Obviously, that's a huge factor online these days. In particular, we all see the cookies things that pops up on every single website now because it has to, which is good. But ultimately, it comes down to, do people actually understand what they're doing? Which I don't know about you guys. I mean, I'm one of probably the few now, and I think insurance was a huge cause of this. Every time I get one of those user agreements, those software agreements, that's 50 pages long, as crazy as it sounds, I will read through all of it. And now, granted, do I understand everything, even from someone who handles insurance contracts and has to read through varying language with three different words and figure out what that means?
No, we refinanced recently, and
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I did the same thing when I purchased my house. I read through every single agreement, and my wife's like, this is going to take hours. And I'm like, I would much rather read and know what I'm signing.
yes,
But 90% of people scroll down to the bottom,
Absolutely. So
click
that's
agree.
funny. So insurance bought my first out in front of you. This is old school.
Yeah, you still have to, yeah.
Do the thing. Their worst nightmare.
Yeah. And after like the third time of that happening, what if you're gonna
That's exactly what happened to me, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly what happened to me.
and like you can tell like they are so done with you. They're like, yeah, just sign it.
And but that's the standard it is now, though, is that they don't like. I mean, even my wife gets frustrated anytime we're buying anything that require like where I have to sign something. We just bought a car here earlier this year. Same exact thing. I went through and I read through every single thing. She's like, I'm gonna go get up and walk around. It's like it's
I'll
just.
take a nap. Call me when you're done.
But it circles back into what you were talking about, though, is that everything's faster. Lawyers are good at it too, yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. I mean, just
Right? And so I think that so yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think that everybody has
You have to
data,
have an online presence,
right?
practically.
And everybody has data.
Yeah.
And that's going to
I mean, it goes into the same reason why, if you have an office, you should have a GL policy, even if it's just premises at the very least, because if someone walks into your office and slips and falls on the ground, like that is you as the office, you as the office owner, or the owner of the building, whatever it might be, you're going to be responsible for covering the medical costs, which, as we know, are not cheap in almost every case that I've seen, at least. And bodily injury is one of the leading, like, you're going to see tons of claims that are going to be expensive. And honestly, a lot of times far more than maybe what you expect, because then you're going to have somebody coming in that's going to be a lawyer or an adjuster that'll come in and look at it and go, oh, well, you had a wet floor and didn't have a wet floor sign. Now you're negligent in the result. Right. And it just winds up, and unfortunately, courts typically are not favorable to insurance companies, is probably how I'd put it. Like they want the insurance company to pay out.
John Washington.
Yeah, not in Washington, that's for sure. And with that, it goes the same way, though, when you come back to the cyber side, is that, and a lot of the smaller shops think to themselves, oh, well, we're small. Nobody's going to target us. Well, that's actually completely the opposite of what you'd expect. The larger companies have far more protections and it's far more difficult to get in. Yeah, the payday is going to be more if they do get in. But at the end of the day, you've got now AI in particular helps speed the whole process up, where These guys can set up a computer that's literally just attacking every single website and can do it at, I mean, for lack of a better term, the speed of light. They can go 50,000 websites and look for the vulnerabilities in that website and be able to find them. And then they have a program set up, because obviously they're tech savvy at this point, where it'll go in and boom, it's going to hit you. And if they're getting, let's say they hit 20,000 companies that are all small mom and pop shops. Well, what's going to be the case is that, yeah, you might get $5,000 or $10,000 through a social engineering or what have you, depending upon what they're doing with it. But if you're getting 20,000 different small businesses that are getting hit for $5,000 or $10,000, well, that adds up really quick. And for them, it's just as easy as boom, I just have to write some code and boom, it's off and running. And that's where it becomes problematic. Yeah, probably not.
If you're a hacker,
Third-party resellers?
right? You go to Bud's.
Into Amazon. Okay, so they're going to go after too. That's where it becomes, it gets really rough. I mean, and like I said, familiarity with contracts, that becomes huge, especially in the Northwest, where you have a lot of tech, you have a lot of startups that they're, trying to get their funding. So what's the first thing on their mind is typically not internet security, unfortunately. And yeah, they'll have the basics for the most part. And there are a lot of tools out there that you can utilize, but a lot of them, that's not their first thought. Their first thought is, we need to start making money. We need to get this company off the ground. And then the defense and the cybersecurity becomes a secondary thought. Well, I mean, when those guys, when you have all of those, you as insurance agents, as insurance brokers, specifically in this area as a whole, and you'll see it in other places, but you knowing those contracts and knowing what they're going to require and knowing whether or not they'll negotiate or not, all of that becomes key. And I mean, as a wholesale broker, I see a lot of insureds that come our direction from my retail agents, my retail brokers that I work with, where, hey, they've got a contract with Amazon where they're doing something. I mean, just off the top of my head example, I think I had an escalator being built in one of the Amazon buildings from a contractor, and they were required to have 10 million in cyber, 10 million in pollution, 10 million in GL limits. And it's like, this guy's making maybe $500,000 in revenue per year. And it's like stuff like that, it doesn't seem to make sense, but from Amazon's perspective, they have to protect every aspect of their business. And so they require all of those, and they will not negotiate, which they have.
If Amazon wants a 10 mil limit,
and they have every reason to request that, because others that are working for them are going to do that because they want to be sure they're protected from any potential that could happen. And it makes sense. Yeah.
And those big companies
Yeah.
are managers and the smaller companies.
Yeah.
And now you're like, wait a minute, I have to provide.
And then you get into the required forms with the 3 different words that we have.
yeah, exactly.
But I mean, that's exactly why wholesale brokers, like Burns and Wilcox exist, is for that exact reasoning, because we are there to help provide those. Because in a lot of times, I mean, and I'm sure you guys would know better than me, in the admitted market, you won't find underwriters or carriers that are willing always to do what they need. And that's where it has to go to the non-admitted side, because you go, hey, I've got this guy, he needs this coverage for this contract. None of my standard markets are going to be willing to do this for whatever reason it might be. And you go, I need someone to do this no matter what. They need this contract, and to meet it, they have to get the insurance. And so that's where, as myself as a casualty broker, you'll have, the other experts in Burns and Wilcox and other wholesale brokerages, where that's what our job is to do, is to find that solution for the best possible price, best possible coverage that's going to meet the contract requirements. And yeah, I mean, it just gives you another pair of eyes, like you mentioned earlier, is another pair of eyes with someone who hopefully has experience or has at least seen it before and can then help you from that point forward.
We bounce ideas. I mean, last week we had a customer who was shutting down their roofing business. Talked about an exit plan for him. So I had some
This is the
thoughts.
discontinued one? Yeah.
And Josh had some thoughts, and then I talked to Andy a bit about it, and you talked to your.
Yeah.
We came between all of us. We came up with a pretty good solution.
Yeah, a lot of contractors